Alright guys, everybody loves brand spanking new fragrances, and I've got 21 of them here in this video, plus a bonus one which I'm going to feature after the outro at the end of the video. Two of the fragrances in this video I have full bottles of, in addition to the last fragrance after the outro. One brand's 3 new fragrances as a collection I have samples of, brand spanking new. And if you want to find out what these are, then please stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian with Smelling Great Fragrance Reviews. Yes, 21 fragrances that I'm anticipating. Actually, some of them I have, so I have them because I wanted them, including the bonus one at the end of the video after the outro. So make sure you catch that one because it's a vacation in a bottle. But lots of goodies that I'm really curious about. You know, brands that I'm really familiar with and I love and follow and things like that. So exciting stuff coming up. Hopefully they're all going to be great fragrances. A few of the, well, one of the ones that actually I'm going to tell you all about it because, as I said, I have 2 in full bottles, 1 bonus fragrance in a full bottle, and then of course I have one from one brand launching a trio of fragrances, unisex fragrances from a designer that I have samples that I'm going to tell you all about them. But before I get to the fragrances, if this is your first time tuning into my channel and you still haven't subscribed, please do click the subscribe button below and also click the bell so that you'll be notified for future videos and giveaways. So how many of you are anticipating something new from a brand that you know, you've heard about and you're anticipating it? What fragrances are you anticipating from any brand? Or maybe go to the extent of you know, telling me what kind of fragrance you would like to see from a specific brand. Some of these fragrances I got excited about because I saw images of them and I enjoy their fragrances. Some just looked really cool just by looking at the visual of them. And then I had to click on some of them to read what they're all about as far as notes go. So 21 of them plus that bonus at the end of the video. We're going to start off with the first one, and it's from a house under Estee Lauder by Kilian, A Kiss from a Rose. This one sounds exciting to me. It seems like it's a green rose fragrance with a name that is a song. Is that the same song that Seal had for that Batman Forever movie? It sounds like that's the name of that song. But you know, I'm a fan of Kilian, although their fragrances have been not the best. Although Angel Share was really good. I really enjoyed that one. I felt like even though it didn't seem like anything original, they gave us something really sweet and, you know, gourmandish to wear that I really enjoyed. This one does seem like it has some great notes that I like, and I love rose in fragrances. I love green notes. Seems like green notes and rose is something that's happening quite a bit, although they seem to be a little late, of course. You know, the Rose and Queer from Frederic Malle, the Eau Capitole from Diptyque, and then of course the Atomic Rose from Initio all did green roses, and now we have one from Kilian, which also features, in addition to the rose and green notes, white musk, black currant, jasmine, Cypriol. Kind of seems like it's going to go in the direction of something like L'Ambredon Low. We shall see, but that is one that I'm anticipating. It comes in the beautiful red bottle. It's created by Alberto Morillas. The last red bottle was a kind of a gourmandish tonka bean thing, so I'm anticipating this one. Let me know if you're a fan of by Kilian and if you're liking the idea of this particular green rose fragrance. The next one is from a Spanish house, LOEWE, and it's 7 Cobalt, a new flanker for their popular 7 series. Hopefully it's not going to be as subdued as the 2 I have. I have 2 from the 7 collection. In fact, I did a recent video of 5 or 6 fragrances from LOEWE, men's fragrances. Go catch that. But this one seems like it would be great. It comes in a beautiful cobalt colored bottle, obviously. And LOEWE did all uniform bottles recently, so they've put this one in this signature kind of bottles under this brand. And you know, I don't think a lot of folks speak about this brand much here. It's a Spanish designer from Spain, obviously, and it's under the LVMH, you know, parent company. So along with you know, Dior and Givenchy and brands like that. So this particular flanker to 7 from LOEWE features notes of sage, vetiver, black currant, pink pepper. So it doesn't sound like it's going to be anything interesting, but I'm always looking for vetiver fragrances, and of course I'm looking for sage. I love aromatic sage notes, and this one also has the black currant and pink pepper, so we shall see how it is. So that is LOEWE 7 Cobalt, a brand new flanker that I'm looking forward to very soon. If you are a fan of LOEWE fragrances, let me know. Both men and women, let me know. They also have a unisex collection, obviously. All of the higher end luxury designers do now. The next two fragrances come from one brand, and these are under the La Botanique collection from L'Artisan Parfumeur, created by Daphne Bouget. Bouget, is it Bouget? Bouget? I like her fragrances. I believe she did another 13 and Bergamot 22. One of those two or both. I'm drawing a blank, but I enjoy her fragrances, and I enjoy some of the previous La Botanique fragrances. I have two of them I like, and obviously they had to go through a facelift. They used to have a bee on the front, and they had to remove the bee, and they've gone through some changes. Now it seems like they've actually even gone a third change, and the labeling on the bottles look like they've had some color changes added to them. But these two sound pretty nice. The first one is 25 Obscuratio, which features notes of Ylang-ylang, bourbon vanilla, and patchouli. This one actually sounds great to me. I love bourbon vanilla, I love patchouli, and I also like Ylang-ylang. And actually there was a fragrance from the house of Elisab in its dark bottles, you know, its higher end collection that featured this kind of a collection of notes. So I wonder if it's similar. We shall see. But that is 25 Obscuratio. The second one in the collection that they're launching soon is 63 Crepusculum Mirabile. Very, very complicated names, but most of them seem like they have something to do with botanical themes. And this particular fragrance features notes of jasmine absolute, sandalwood, tonka bean absolute. So they do sound great. I'm very, very curious about it. I do enjoy the fragrances in this collection, and these two should be great, especially since they're created by Daphne Bouget, or Bouget, who I'm a fan of, and her fragrances are pretty darn good. So anyway, let me know if you guys are experienced with these two fragrances. I know they're selling them somewhere. They haven't made it here yet in the States, but I do enjoy L'Artisan Parfumeur, and I do enjoy this La Botanique collection of fragrances, so we shall see how they are. The next fragrance I'm going to talk to you about is an exclusive fragrance I found out from a house that I don't really speak too much about, DURGA, and the only fragrance I own from this house is I don't know what, and I'd like to dive into this house a little more, although I've sampled a lot of their fragrances at Barney's when Barney's was here, and I enjoyed a lot of some of them, not a lot of them, some of them. I fell in love with I don't know what, but this Magnolia City sounds great, and it seems like it's an exclusive or limited edition, and it features this type of magnolia from Brooklyn. Does that make sense? It's got a magnolia called Magnolia brooklynensis. Anyway, it features notes of lemon, this Magnolia brooklynensis, narcissus, white musk, galbanum, moss flux, saucer magnolia, cherry tree. Sounds like a spring floral bouquet come alive, and, you know, meshed with lemons. It sounds like it could be great. And I love magnolias in fragrances, and magnolias really have, to me, when I smell magnolias when it's been baking under the sun, when you put your nose to it, you can smell a lemony undertone there. It doesn't get very fragrant as a flower. It doesn't come close to smelling like jasmine or tuberose or gardenia. It's a little more subdued smell, and I like that about it, and I think it blends really beautifully with musks because it's not so loud. It's also kind of reserved, you know, subdued, could be kind of a skin. So that's why this one is exciting to me, but visually the bottle really caught my attention, and I'm curious to learn more about this particular fragrance. Let me know if you're a fan of this brand, DURGA. Let me know if you've sampled Magnolia City. I don't know if it's out yet or not, but put some comments down so I can find out. And if you haven't sampled it, does it sound like it would be something that you would be looking into? Let me know. The next fragrance I'm going to talk to you about is from the house of Louis Vuitton. It's the latest men's fragrance from Louis Vuitton called Imagination. And Imagination looks like a citrus bomb once again, but this particular one seems to have featured tea. So it's a kind of a citrusy tea fusion. But the problem is the previous one, Meteor, was you know, fairly decent, but not anything wow. I felt like it was fairly, you know, mass rather than like something a little challenging. And a lot of Louis Vuitton's fragrances are not necessarily like, you know, different types of fragrances that are a little more on the niche side. They definitely have a designer touch to them, but some of them do have some niche stylings to them. And I do enjoy a lot of the men's collection, such as Orage, Au Hasard. Nouveau Monde is a great fragrance. I think it's probably one of their more challenging fragrances under the men's collection. And of course, you know, the Middle East Oriental collection is also pretty solid. But this one, Imagination, has lots of citrus notes. Neroli, black tea, bergamot, orange, citron, ginger, ambroxan, gaiac wood, cinnamon, olibanum. And Jacques Cavalier seems to be adding some, you know, notes that are deeper in this one. Olibanum, and of course cinnamon and gaiac wood, so it would be contrasted with all the citruses that are in here. But he did do L'Immensité for men, and it also featured ambroxan and ginger with grapefruit. So this one doesn't have grapefruit, and so we shall see how this one is. But it seems a little more complex than the previous one, Meteor, which, as I said, was not the most exciting fragrance for me. Let me know if anyone sampled Imagination yet, and let me know if you're curious about this one and what is your favorite Louis Vuitton fragrance. I'd like to find out. Put a comment down so I can find out. The next one is a fragrance from Gucci called Gucci Garden. So I don't know where I heard this, but I felt like this is overpriced somewhere. I couldn't find a price for this one, and this is part of their Alchemist Garden collection. Is it a very, very exclusive fragrance? Let me know if anyone knows. I couldn't find that information out while I was compiling my notes for this particular video, but when I first heard about the fragrance Gucci Garden, I did see something about it being very, very exclusive. I'm not sure where it was. But Gucci Garden is the latest Alchemist Garden fragrance from Gucci, and this one features notes of woods, violet, broom, benzoin, bergamot. So not a lot of notes, which is typical of these Alchemist Garden fragrances. They're not crediting a lot of notes, and also they do wear a little simplistic. They don't seem like they're very, very complex and very deep fragrances, you know? They don't wear that way, but they have deep notes, if that makes sense. But Gucci Garden seems exciting. I think Violet seems to be having a moment or something. Seems to be a lot of Violet in fragrances popping up. So let's see how this is. But if the price tag is overpriced, I don't think I'll be buying this one. We shall see. But let me know who's excited about this one, and if you've sampled it yet or not. I'd like to find out. The next fragrance I'm going to talk to you about is from a house that I don't really speak about. It's Jil Sander, and it's Sun Men Parfum. So I have the original Sun Men in Eau de Toilette. I have a large bottle that I got at a discounter really, really inexpensively, and it's an interesting fragrance. It's kind of a sunny, fresh fragrance, slightly almost like suntan lotion, but not quite kind of going there. But Sun Men Parfum seems very, very interesting, and that's why I'm curious to see how it turns out to be. And it's Jil Sander. It's not a brand that I speak too much about. I've worn her fragrances back in the 2000s and early 2010s, but the only one I have currently is Sun Men, the original. But Sun Men Parfum has notes of benzoin, leather, clary sage, dry woods, juniper berries. So it seems a lot more complex than the original, and I love benzoin in notes, but sadly it's a designer. Let's see what they do with benzoin here. Benzoin leather, it seems deep and rich, something more for the winter. But we shall see. It's a designer after all, as I said. But I'm liking the way the notes are presented here, or the notes that they're using. So let's see how it turns out. But let me know if you're a fan of Jil Sander as a fragrance house. I think it's a German house, and I've worn their fragrances in the past and I've loved them, but they don't make it here to the States much. You have to get them all pretty much at the discounters as of now. But in the past, I used to see their fragrances in stores like Macy's and Nordstrom's, maybe even Saks for sure. Anyway, that is Sun Men Parfum from Jil Sander. Let me know if you're a fan of it or the brand. So this next fragrance I'm going to talk to you about is from a brand that I first discovered back in 2016 in Brussels, Belgium, at a perfume shop, a niche perfume shop. And the brand was just getting its start, but all of a sudden they're all over the place, and a lot of people have been you know, talking about them, but I haven't really discussed them at all on the channel. Let me know if you want me to cover BDK perfumes on the channel, and which fragrances would you want me to discuss on the channel. But they have a new fragrance coming out called Velvet Tonka that I'm very, very excited about. Love Tonka beans in fragrances, although Tonka beans in fragrances can smell a very generic, like if they're in like designer fragrances for men, they can end up smelling kind of, you know, boring. But I like Tonka beans in fragrances like Tonka Imperial from Guerlain. I like it in fragrances like Fève Délicieuse from Dior. And this one sounds like it's going to be great because it has Tonka beans, tobacco, rose, orange blossom, almonds, bourbon vanilla, amyris, and amber wood. Sadly, the only thing I'm thinking of about this one is it could smell like there's a Maison Francis Kurkdjian fragrance that has a similar notes with Tonkas and Amyris. Hopefully it's not a copy of that or somewhat close to it, but this one I am kind of, it's called Amyris, basically. Amyris pour Homme, the Maison Francis Kurkdjian. So it has kind of similar notes. Hopefully, like I said, it's not something that's inspired or duped from. I hate it when that happens, but a lot of brands do it. Obviously, we can't really get away from that. But hopefully it's not. It's its own unique creation. But it seemed exciting to me, and I'm very, very curious to check this one out, Velvet Tonka. But let me know your thoughts on this house, and let me know your thoughts on this particular fragrance. What are your favorite fragrances from BDK? I'd love to find out. The next one I'm going to talk to you about is from a house called El Ganzo. I did a video of 4 of their fragrances on the channel last year, and they have a brand new one called Limoncello Season. Exciting name and exciting fragrance. I love anything with lemons. And Limoncello, on the other hand, is great kind of a, you know, liqueur that you can have after dinner, or, you know, like a, you know, something to drink in the heat, because it's very, very thirst quenching. I think the lemons in this particular liqueur. I'm not the biggest fan of limoncello. I like my lemons. It seems to be too sweet or something, but if it's a little more like tart with lemons, I really enjoyed. But Limoncello Season sounds pretty interesting from El Ganzo. Lemons, moss, musk, vanilla, apple, rose, ozonic notes, patchouli and ginger. And I like these notes the way they appear. Ginger and lemons together are really, really great. Musk is also really great, but this one seems to have some sweet notes, some, you know, crisp appley notes, and rose comes in, and ozonic notes comes in as well. Ozonic notes always adds a, you know, watery kind of a crunchy, crisp, cucumber-like quality to fragrances. So I'll see what this one turns out, or how this one turns out. But I like the name Limoncello Season, and this brand is a small, or maybe not small, a clothing brand from Spain, and they have a few stores maybe. I'm not 100% sure about the brand itself, but I've heard that they have some stores in Spain, and they have 4 fragrances that I've already reviewed on the channel if you want to find out more, and this is Limoncello Season, their latest fragrance. Now the next one is from a brand, a designer once again, a German designer once again, that I haven't really discussed on the channel ever, and I actually haven't worn their fragrance since the early 90s. Youp is a fragrance called Youp, and they have a new one called Youp Homme with an exclamation mark, and it's an EDP. This one sounded great to me, and once again it's got Tonka beans absolute as a note. But as I was saying earlier, Tonka beans in men's fragrances could be hit or miss. For me, it can be. But this one got me excited, not only because I haven't, you know, touched on this particular brand, never on this particular channel, but I'd like to look into this one and see how it turns out, because I like the notes that they're using in this particular fragrance. And it would be a nice entry for me to get back on the track with this brand. I'm not holding my breath, so I will mention that, but I did enjoy some of their fragrances back in the early 90s. But this features notes of Tonka bean absolute, vanilla, sandalwood, moss, cashmere and orange blossom, heliotrope, cardamom, fir, cinnamon, hazelnuts. So there's a lot going on here. Hopefully it's not going to be, I'm just saying hopefully it's going to be unique. I'm not holding my breath, but it does have me excited, not only visually for the bottle, but also some of the notes that are in here, because, you know, I enjoy Tonka beans and fragrances. And then it's got vanilla as well. It should be definitely a solid release. All right, the next fragrance I'm going to talk to you about that I'm excited and anticipating is CARVEN's C'est Paris pour Homme. So this is a brand that has been producing fragrances in the past. Going back to the early 2010s, they started releasing some fragrances. They re-released their popular Vetiver fragrance, which I have. And it's the only thing I have from this brand. But this fragrance, not only does the advertising campaign look great, the bottle looks great, but the notes also seem great. Features notes of cedar, patchouli, cypress, rosemary, lavender, sandalwood, oak moss, labdanum, hazelnut, violet leaves. Did I say violet leaves and violets are popular? I'm also seeing a trend of hazelnuts in this particular fragrance anticipation video, but violet leaves seems to be coming up. In fact, one of the fragrances that I have, when I was planning this video, the fragrance arrived, and so I'm including the fragrance. It has lots of violet leaves in the notes of the fragrance, but actually this one seems exciting enough for me to try. And I like CARVEN, not Love. I love their vetiver. The green vetiver they have is great. Some of their other fragrances were kind of boring for me, too generic for me, but this one sounds exciting. I hope it's going to be something unique, not necessarily like smelling like all other designer fragrances, which is kind of a turn off for me, but I'm excited about it. The bottle looks great, and as I said, the advertising campaign looks great, and the notes seem like they're going to be great as well. So that's CARVEN C'est Paris pour Homme. Let me know if you're a fan of this house, and have you sampled this particular fragrance? Put a comment down so I can find out. The next fragrance I'm going to talk to you about is from the house of Chanel and their unisex collection in the, you know, the eau bottles, like the cologne style fragrances. It's PARIS-EDIMBOURG. Now I have the first three, then I bought the fourth that came out, which fourth one was not my favorite actually. The first three are great, with Paris-Biarritz and Paris-Deauville being the best of the bunch. Paris-Venice is pretty darn good as well. But I didn't care for the fourth one, and I'm even drawing the blank. I have it. I haven't even worn it because it just was kind of boring to me. But this one does sound great. Edinburgh, Paris-Edinburgh. Features notes of vanilla, musk, lavender, juniper berries, cypress, cedar, and vetiver. Hopefully it's going to be as much better than the previous one, but Paris-Biarritz and Paris-Deauville, if you like unisex fragrances from Chanel and you like light, fresh, and you know, effervescent kind of uplifting fragrances, those two are amazing, you know? Perfect summer fragrances. But let's see how Chanel's Paris-Edinburgh turns out. We shall see. But let me know if you've sampled it already. I don't know if it's released yet or not, but let me know if you haven't sampled it, if you're excited about this particular release. Now the next fragrance I'm going to talk to you about is from a niche house called Theo Cabanel, and it's a fragrance called BOUM. I think that's how you say it. It's interesting that they are now launching some very trendy style, modern style fragrances, very young, appealing, I think. Previously their fragrances, I think, were a little more mature. Now they've gone on to a trend of launching some younger, more hip style fragrances. And this one definitely sounds like it could be great, but it is kind of marine leaning a little bit. It has a note called sand lily, but it also features notes of vanilla, immortelle, rose, jasmine, and salt. Their previous releases, the three of them before this, were pretty darn good, and then also Café Cabanel was pretty darn good. So I think they are doing some good stuff with this particular house, and I'm excited about BOUM. Let's see how it turns out. Their iris from the previous launch of 3 fragrances was amazing. Amazing iris fragrance. I think it had hazelnuts in it once again. So let's see how BOUM is going to turn out from the house of Theo Cabanel. The next fragrance I'm going to talk to you about, well, let me say, when I first was starting out in the reviewing game here back in around 2012, 2013, Tower Perfumes had a fragrance called Cologne du Maghreb. It came in a different bottle because he's now re-releasing this fragrance, and I'm excited for its relaunch because previously, as I said, it came in a different bottle. It didn't match his other bottles, and then that fragrance kind of was shelved. Now it's coming back. For me, this is kind of like a freshie, and not necessarily eau de cologne, because it seems like it's going to be a lot more deep rather than, you know, acting like an eau de cologne, but it's called Cologne du Maghreb. So it features notes of neroli, orange blossom, bourbon geranium, rose absolute, Bulgarian rose, ambrinol, atlas cedar, Java vetiver, labdanum, red mandarin, clementine, petitgrain, rosemary, clary sage, Litsea cubeba, grapefruit, bergamot, lemon, and lavender. Lots going on with this one. Lots of citruses, lots of aromatics, and I think those really do connect really beautifully. Citruses and aromatics, match made in heaven, I think. They contrast beautifully, and they perfect fragrances to wear. It adds some depth to, you know, just citruses in fragrances. And I think this one's going to be great. I've smelled it before. It was great before. In fact, I never owned a full bottle, but I had a bunch of samples that I wore when I was first starting out in reviewing. So I'm excited for this particular relaunch of Cologne du Maghreb and its new bottle, and then the bottle looks really great as well. So let me know if you've sampled the original. Let me know if you're excited about this particular new re-release of this particular fragrance, Cologne du Maghreb. So we've got two fragrances that I already have the bottles of, and as I was planning this video, they ended up arriving, and sadly I've been testing these fragrances out, and reviews for these two fragrances are going to launch very soon. The first one I'm going to mention or talk about is Dior's Eden-ROC, this one right here. And this one, I was actually anticipating this one for coconuts. I don't really get coconuts, but there is something coconutty there. I think this is not turning out to be my favorite Dior Maison Christian Dior fragrance. I think it seems a little more mass, a little more easy to wear, although, you know, some people that don't like aquatics or marine fragrances might not dig this. This also has a very heavy minerally presence, but there is something coconutty under there. Even though Dior's website, where I got the info for this fragrance, does not mention the coconut. There is a coconutty touch under there, but it has sea salt, citruses, mineral notes, marine notes, white flowers, pine. That's what they credit with this fragrance, and I'm going with it. It's not as exciting for me as Tobaccolor. It also goes down a lot faster. This is how much I've worn so far. It's very, very skin scenty, but I think it's a great kind of a change of pace to a summer freshie, because it has some unique notes. It's minerally, as I said. It's got the salt and marine notes, and it has a kind of a sunscreen or sunscreen skin under sun kind of a solar experience. I don't get much of the pine in here, even though it's in here, I guess, but it's very light. It's mostly the sea, the salt, the citruses, lots of lemony touches in here with the minerally touches. Anyway, those are my thoughts on this one. I have it, and stay tuned for the full review tomorrow. The next one I've been anticipating for a while, and a few of you have been asking me to review it, and I finally ordered it, and it arrived just in time for me to shoot this video. So I put my notes together. You know, you'll always compile notes together to do videos, and then I wasn't expecting it to arrive, but it's here, and I'm enjoying it. This is Brioni from Brioni. It's Brioni EDP, the house of Brioni, and it's a fragrance created by Michel Almerac. And it's a very ozonic fragrance featuring violets or violet leaves. Michel Almerac did Fahrenheit, which also features violet leaves. This does not smell like that. It'll remind you of the violets in Fahrenheit. This is a lot fresher. It kind of reminds me of a cross between Toy Boy, Gucci Pour Homme 2, and anything with violets, like Lalique's Hommage, violet leaves and things like that. It kind of has a very, very ozonic quality to it. So far, so good. It's crisp, it's fresh, it's ozonic, as I said, and I'm gonna, you know, put it to use for a couple more days, and then I'll do a full review of this one. So that one is a very, very exciting fragrance. Check it out if you haven't yet, but obviously it's arrived already here. And finally, 3 fragrances from one house, Cartier. They're launching a unisex collection of 3 fragrances called Rivieres de Cartier. And the 3 fragrances are called Luxuriance, Insouciance, ALLEGRESSE. Let me know who sampled these fragrances yet. I actually have samples. I have samples and I'm smelling them. All 3 actually smell really, really great. I'm not sure what their concentration is. Is it eau de toilette? Is it eau de cologne? They seem very, very fresh. But I have my little samples in little bottles like this. As you can see, like right there. The fragrances, let me show you an image of the bottles. I'm going to spray little strips to let you know a little bit about these, but the first one I'm going to spray is Luxuriance. Luxuriance seems like it's the most masculine, and I'm gonna have to put my glasses on for these because I can't see the labels on these bottles. All right, Luxuriance has notes of fern, mastic resin, oak, rosemary, wild herbs, geranium. It has a very Coca-Cola vibe, which is absolutely amazing, but it's very herbal. It does remind me of one of their fragrances in the Les Ors collection, but I think I really like this one. It's very herbal, but also fizzy Coca-Cola-esque. Wonderful stuff. You can totally smell the herbs. Like the herbs are like the wild herbs. It says it has wild herbs as a note. They're like pungent. Like you can totally smell the realistic herbs smell. The next one I'm going to let you know about is ALLEGRESSE. This one seems like it's the citrus floral one. Although it's got flowers, it's got petitgrain, it's got tuberose, petitgrain, bergamot, blackcurrant, bud. Really, really wonderful smelling. This is like really realistic smelling stuff. Like the real fruits, the real flowers, the real citruses all come to life. I think these two so far would be perfect for summer wear, and I'm excited about them. They smell fantastic. And Mathilde Laurent at Cartier has been doing some great stuff with fragrances. The Pacha de Cartier Parfum is amazing. La Panthère Parfum is also amazing. So she's doing some great work, and I really do admire her fragrances. And then finally, we're gonna talk about Insouciance. So Insouciance might be the most deepest one out of all of them, although the Allégresse seems like it's the freshest, followed by Luxuriance, which is somewhat deep and rich at the same time of being fresh. But Insouciance, I think, is the most deep. It has iris and violet. Violet's back again. And then it has fruit, tree woods as a note, according to the notes I found online. This one actually is my least favorite, but it's not a bad fragrance. Iris is deep and rich, also is violet. It's not ozonic, so I think it's just actual violet and not the violet leaves. But you can also smell the fruity woods thing happening in here. It's good, but it's not my favorite out of the three. The first two are really, really great. Luxuriance and Allégresse, I would definitely own a bottle. Although the third one is fine too. Let's put it to use a little bit. But I take my glasses off. Those are my thoughts on all these really new upcoming fragrances. Stay tuned for my EDEN-ROC review very soon. I'll let you know all about that fragrance, and then of course the BRIONI EDP review. But let me know if you're excited for these 21 fragrances, if you have them already, which one do you like, or which one have you been anticipating. Also, if there are any other fragrances that I have not discussed here, put a comment down which ones you're anticipating. Anyway guys, stay tuned till after the outro for my surprise fragrance. But if you have any questions or comments, please do list below. Otherwise, please like this video, please share it, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye. Alright, I'm glad you guys stuck around, as I discovered this fragrance recently somewhere. I'm not sure how. I was going through some news of fragrances, and then I came on this funky website that looks like an old 80s inspired vacation write-up, like article. It was the website to the brand's this brand's new fragrance, and I don't even know what the name of the brand is. I think it's just called Vacation, and their fragrance is called Vacation. And I looked it up, and I'm like, this is exciting. It's all about suntan lotiony coconutty fragrance. It's a 30 ml bottle, and it was $60 some, and I instantly ordered it. It's here now, and I was gonna say this is the other one, another fragrance that I was really, really excited about checking out, and it arrived in time for me to shoot this video. And this is how it comes. Vacation right there. Hope it doesn't fall. It's a really kitschy and campy website. You guys should go check it out. Home of the world's best sunscreen. So Vacation, it's registered, so they have a trademark for Vacation, I guess, for perfume, and Vacation by Vacation. So I guess the brand name is Vacation. This is the box. It's an eau de toilette. It's 1 ounce. As I said, it was around $60 some, and it came really fast when I ordered it. And let's look at it. That's the bottle right there. I don't have the notes here, but it smells like suntan lotion. It smells like coconutty suntan lotion, which is really, really great. If you like cozy coconutty fragrances, beachy, tropical kind of fragrances, smelling the beach, you know, not necessarily aquatic. It's not marine or aquatic. It's mostly like suntan lotion, maybe a little bit of salt thrown in. I think this is really, really fun fragrance. As I said, it's about 30 ml for about $60 some, and I think I got free shipping on this as well. I'm excited. It's created by Rodrigue Flores Rue, along with the guy who owns that brand Arquiste. Anyway, I think the Arquiste and Rodrigo Flores Rue do, well, Rodrigo Flores Rue creates fragrances for Arquiste, so I'm sure they're friends. So they were responsible for this fragrance called Vacation. And anyway, I recommend it. It's a fun fragrance. The website is really fun and kitschy and campy and playful, and I had a great checkout experience. It was easy. I bought it. It came really quick. It was free shipping. So I'm excited about this one, and I'm going to put it to use. So that is my bonus fragrance today. Originally, I was going to say I'm excited. I'm anticipating this one, but it arrived in time for you guys to see it. And other than that, guys, that's all I have for you. If you have any questions or comments, as I said, please put it down. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.